Hi everyone, this is Team 2's presentation on Zoonotic and Microbial Agents Greater LA Vector Control Program. Don't forget to click the audio button on each slide to listen to the voiceover. Hi everyone, my name is Nayeli and I will be talking about the summary of zoonotic and vector-borne diseases. Zoonosis is a disease that can be transmitted from animals to humans and vice versa. This can be caused by bacteria, viruses, parasites, or prions that are capable of spreading between animals and people. It can also be transmitted through direct contact with animals, through their bodily fluids, or indirectly through contaminated environments. A vector-borne disease is an infectious illness that is transmitted to humans or other animals through the bite of a vector organism. A vector organism is a living organism that can carry and transmit pathogens such as bacteria, viruses, or parasites from one host to another. The most common vectors are arthropods, particularly mosquitoes, ticks, and fleas. Hi everyone, Nayeli again. So the next slide is monitoring and controlling of zoonotic and vector-borne diseases. So this may include surveillance. This may involve tracking diseases, incidence, prevalence, and distribution to identify potential outbreaks or emerging threats. Vector control may include the use of insecticides, habitat modifications, and the introduction of biological controls to reduce vector populations and interrupt disease transmissions. Zoonotic disease prevention, which is implementing measures to reduce direct or indirect contact between humans and potentially infected animals. Vaccination and treatment, providing prompt and effective treatment for individuals diagnosed with vector-borne or zoonotic diseases to prevent further transmission. Environmental management, which is addressing environmental factors that contribute to the spread of vector-borne diseases, such as stagnant water, poor sanitation, and deforestation. Hi everyone, Nayeli again. Primary objectives of Greater LA Vector Control Program is the next slide that I will be talking about. So their primary objectives is first to reduce populations of public health vectors. Second, prevent humans of getting diseases that are related to mosquito-transmitted diseases. And lastly, to prevent the loss of property values and commercial enterprise as a result of vector occurrence and activity.
The secondary objectives of this program include providing DIY solutions to get rid of mosquitoes in-home, as well as professional services to inspect for and get rid of mosquitoes and other vectors. They also provide resources for vaccinations and treatment of vector-borne diseases. The service area coverage for this program covers over 1,000 square miles and 6 million residents in Los Angeles County and other unincorporated areas. It is one of 5 mosquito and vector control districts in Los Angeles County, and within this area, there is community outreach and scientific technical operations performed.
So the Greater Los Angeles County Vector Control District has a team of accomplished professionals ranging from information technology specialists to facilities and maintenance experts, operations managers, environmental program leaders, vector ecologists, and dedicated communications and outreach assistants. This diverse team underscores the district's commitment to a comprehensive approach in addressing the challenges associated with vectors and vector-borne illnesses. At the core of their mission is to prevent and control vectors and vector-borne diseases within the Los Angeles County. They are dedicated to mitigating any prevalence of vectors with a emphasis on diseases transmitted by mosquitoes.
So the types of monitoring provided by the agency fall under the category of surveillance. So much of the vector populations are routinely surveyed by lab and are tested for any vector-borne illnesses. Mosquitoes are the main vectors that this organization or agency tends to test for any vector-borne illnesses. The prevention and control is another type of monitoring category that the agency offers. The areas in which there is significant evidence for vector-borne illnesses is identified and treated with the control measures that are implemented by the agency. In other words, the agency goes out to the site of the breeding grounds of, say, the mosquitoes, and they treat the area and possibly get rid of any breeding grounds. And they have three separate departments for monitoring the vectors, which the first one is the operations department, which is the prevention of disease transmission and removing breeding grounds, as I mentioned earlier. Scientific technical services, which is the different testing programs for the vectors and the hosts, such as the mosquitoes being the vectors, arthropods, and the host being the birds or any possible animals that can transmit the disease. And lastly, the third department is the communications department, which promotes public awareness and DIY strategies. Essentially, they educate the public on possible strategies on how they can remove any breeding grounds for mosquitoes at home, and also educate the public about the severity of vector-borne illnesses and how they can possibly mitigate them or educate them to remove any possible breeding grounds.
Hello class, my name is Joelle, and today in this slide I will be talking about the control measures implemented by the Greater Los Angeles County Vector Control District. So this agency uses 4 different control measures, one being source reduction, which is the standing of water or other harborage that may support mosquitoes and other vectors, and they are reduced or eliminated. Another is environmental control, where the environment is altered to make it less conducive to develop or harbor mosquitoes and other vectors. Biological and chemical control, where the predators, such as the mosquito and other pesticides, is used to eliminate or manage vector populations. And lastly, public education and outreach, where information for residents and local agencies is provided at no additional cost through print literature, press releases, community events, classroom programs, social media posts, and local events.
In the vector control program, they keep an eye on a range of indicators, and these indicators are crucial for maintaining a healthy community. Some of these indicators include complaints and inspection requests. It's important to have a prompt response time, especially to community complaints and inspection requests. And it is a cornerstone of the program's proactive approach. Any rodents, flies, or pesticide use, these indicators can be potential indicators for vectors of diseases, and staying on top of these can mitigate any threats to public health. Any poor animal welfare, poor drainage, or poor sewage conditions, recognizing how all these are kind of connected together, especially in regards to the environment and the community, allows the program to be able to assess if there's any possible vectors that could be, coming from these poor conditions. Some other ones include pooling or standing water, excess urine and accumulated waste, feed storage, algae in water dispensers, and poor waste management. Last but not least, backflow protection in plumbing fixtures without a correct backflow protection. It can create a lot of health issues for the public, and so the vector control program is dedicated to monitoring and addressing these indicators so that they can help create a safer and healthier living environment for the public.
So following the DPS EEA model, the driving forces would be along the lines of vector population growth and pesticides, the use of pesticides being an economical factor and the vector population growth being more of a societal factor. So the driving forces would then move us onto the pressures, which pressures would be along the lines of pest removal, resources, and healthcare demand for the person who was unfortunately infected or any other animal that might have been infected. The state of which we follow this model is damage to other species, water pollution, adaptation of other agents. So as we know from the website, it does mention something along the lines of DDT being used to get rid of mosquitoes because of their transmission of the West Nile virus and dengue. So the use of DDT was used and unfortunately created water pollution and damage to other species. And it ended up killing off a good majority of other innocent species. And most of the other agents, such as the pests, they developed kind of an adaptation to the pesticide. So in turn, the pesticide would have to be a lot stronger. Exposures would be the humans infected with the foreign illnesses. So humans becoming ill due to the contact with the infected vectors and arthropods, and the infected animals would be that of infected birds, mosquitoes, arthropods, and etc. The effects would be of higher demand of, the effects of higher infections would be that of a higher mortality rate, morbidity rate, and continued infection and contamination. So the problem consists of humans being continuously infected with these dangerous viruses and illnesses. So the actions that were put into place were DDT regulation for the societal factors. DDT regulation was put into place to prevent any damage for any neighboring species or innocent species, and instead DDT was regulated to be used only in a household. Education and strategies were implemented for the environmental aspect. So education about how to possibly get rid of any breeding grounds at home for mosquitoes or vectors were implemented. And in turn, the public is educated more on how to prevent themselves from getting sick.
In this slide, I will be discussing the pros and cons of emerging issues and hazards of zoonosis. The term emerging zoonosis refers to the disease caused by new agents or by previously known microorganisms appearing in places or in species in which the disease was previously unknown. Factors that contribute to this issue is migration of human population within tropical and semi-tropical areas, increase in international travel, population growth, overuse of antibiotics and pesticides, lack of clean drinking water, and climate change. One of the current emerging zoonoses claimed by the agency is West Nile virus in the Los Angeles area. One thing that they're doing to prevent the spread of this virus is educating the public on ways to prevent mosquito bites and reduce the transmission and infection. Another is having regular visits around areas or sites where mosquitoes can breed. And so, with that being said, some of the pros and cons of zoonosis is the transmission of disease, in which they will affect humans, and another is animals, which will then affect our food supply. The pros is that there be more sustainable food production, improve animal welfare, and healthier environment.